90 Day Fiancé Season 11, Sarper Guven and Shekhina Garner's tensions rise ahead of their wedding. There are many reasons why the 90 Day Fiancé franchise is such a successful group of reality shows. For example, even though the franchise's cast members sign strict NDAs, fans love that they've learned an incredible amount about them. After all, there are headlines about 90 Day Fiancé cast members allegedly facing false accusations, going to prison, going through IVF, and even about their cause of death. Of course, some 90 Day Fiancé headlines are about relationship troubles, including people moving on after divorce to start new relationships. While some 90 Day Fiancé stars have left their spouse, Sarper Guven and Shekhina Garner may never get that far as they are fighting before their planned wedding date. Sarper Guven and Shekhina Garner fought about her ex, Dan. In many ways, it is shocking that any of the 90 Day Fiancé couples make it to the altar. After all, as any of the franchise's fans will already know, the couples have to survive a lot of strife that would tear apart many romantic pairs. Of course, there is all the tension that comes with one of the partners moving across the world and away from everything they'd known. On top of the obvious culture shock that would cause, the couples also have to cope with all the pressure that comes from putting their relationship in front of the world. For those reasons, it likely shouldn't surprise anyone that, before they are set to walk down the aisle, Sarper Guven and Shekhina Garner have been fighting. However, the interesting thing is that Shekhina and Sarper have been arguing over something really relatable, an ex who is still in the picture. In May 2025, In Touch Weekly published a recap of the 14th episode of 90 Day Fiancé's 11th season. That article quoted the couple arguing over Shekhina's ongoing friendship with her ex-boyfriend, Dan. A lot of viewers will be able to relate to Sarper's frustrations that Shekhina is close with her ex and her anger at his attempts to control who is in her social circle. As In Touch Weekly's article detailed, the argument got started when Sarper asked Shekhina to give him feedback on his recent stand-up comedy performance. During that performance, Sarper made a mean joke about Shekhina's ex, Dan. In May 2025, Shekhina Garner uploaded a video that was later reposted on Instagram in which she spoke about some of her issues with Sarper Guven. During that video, Shekhina complained about Sarper not taking responsibility in their relationship. The part he doesn't like is the responsibility. When asked about the performance, Shekhina told Sarper that she could have done without the Dan joke. Shekhina was also shown in a confessional interview complaining about Sarper trying to control who she is friends with. He can't just come to LA and blow up my friend group because that affects my life here too. While defending her friendship with Dan while talking to Sarper, Shekhina pointed out that she never actually slept with Dan before they broke up. Shekhina then argued that she believes that makes her friendship with Dan a lot less complicated. Shekhina also brought up that Dan showed up to Sarper's comedy show to support him. In April 2025, Reality Tea published an article looking at which 90 Day Fiancé couples the outlet believed were the most likely to get married. That article made a very definitive prediction about whether Shekhina Garner and Sarper Guven would get married. Shekhina Garner and Sarper Guven will almost definitely get married on 90 Day Fiancé Season 11. In response, Sarper openly questioned Dan's motives. Instead of accepting that Dan was being supportive, Sarper claimed that Shekhina's ex was actually playing the victim. While talking about their argument during a confessional interview, Shekhina complained about Sarper not listening when she tells him what she needs. "It's so annoying that Sarper still can't handle me telling him directly what I need him to do. It's just a control thing. Like he wants to feel in control. And when someone's telling him what they need him to do, he feels like he's being controlled." Things went awry when Sarper Guven went to make peace with Shekhina Garner's ex, Dan. Throughout their argument that was seen during 90 Day Fiancé Season 11 Episode 14, Shekhina Garner was asking Sarper Guven for one thing. All that Shekhina seemed to want was for Sarper to accept her friendship with her ex, Dan. However, when Sarper seemingly tried to make things right with Dan, things got a lot more confrontational than expected. After fighting with Shekhina, Sarper decided to meet with Dan to, as he put it, deal with their issues in the modern way. While he hinted that he was prepared to fight if needed, In Touch Weekly's aforementioned article quoted Sarper stating his intent to make peace with Dan. Shekhina wanted me to solve the situation with them, and I want to solve it for my own sake too, because wherever he comes, he caused a problem for me. While attempting to make things right, Sarper went to Dan's house. While Dan expressed surprise that Sarper wanted to talk to him after the insulting joke, he stated he was open to listen. Once they began talking, Sarper admitted to Dan that his joke was an attempt at getting revenge against Shekhina's ex. Sarper also told Dan that the only thing he wanted in the future from him was respect. If Sarper thought those comments would allow him and Dan to connect, he didn't get a very friendly response. Instead, Dan told Sarper that he saw the joke as a sign of weakness from him. According to In Touch Weekly's article, Dan also professed his own toughness, and there have been many age gap relationships across the 90-Day Fiancé franchise, but there are 8 that stand out as being overly dramatic and disastrous. 90-Day Fiancé premiered in 2014, and over the more than 10 years it's been gracing the reality TV world, some memorable couples have come through. There are 4 core 90DF shows, the OG one, Happily Ever After, Before the 90 Days, and The Other Way. Then, there are spin-offs from those, like 90 Day Diaries, 90 Day, The Single Life, and 90 Day, The Last Resort. These shows are comprised of franchise cast members in new chapters of their lives. Currently, there is a brand new spin-off in the network. 90 Day, Hunt for Love follows former cast members who are now single, as they enjoy a Tulum, Mexico, resort while trying to date each other and strangers, all while getting help with their dating skills. Exes Tim Malcolm and Jennifer Tarazona, who had a 13-year age gap relationship, have been taking center stage as their tension is palpable and Jennifer tries to sabotage Tim's experience. While Tim and Jennifer's relationship was notably problematic, there are other franchise cast members whose age gap relationships are even more toxic. The messy nature of the age gap connections on this list have been shocking, distasteful, and downright weird at times. There are some couples like 65-year-old Jenny Slayton and 35-year-old Sumit Singh who've proven age disparities can work, but the ones that don't work are more glaring. 90 Day Fiancé, 8 dramatic age gap relationships that have been total disasters. Gino Palazzolo and Jasmine Pineda. Jasmine had another man's child. Gino Palazzolo and Jasmine Pineda are the couple on this list who are surrounded by the most controversy. Gino, now 56, met Jasmine, now 38, on a sugar baby website originally, although they lied about that on the show. Despite being confronted by Jasmine's jealous, rage-driven personality when they met in person after the COVID-19 pandemic, Gino proposed, and Jasmine came to America on the K-1 visa in winter 2023. As expected, more chaos ensued between the married couple, and it led them to seek help on 90 Day, The Last Resort Season 2. At the couple's therapy resort, Jasmine said she and Gino had not been intimate for 9 months, and that she wanted an open marriage. To avoid conflict, Gino agreed. However, Jasmine became pregnant with her partner in the open marriage, Matt Brownies, and she has since given birth to their daughter. The other layer of their relationship involves Jasmine's financial dependence on Gino, who Jasmine thinks tries to control her with money. Despite being closer to senior status, Gino has underscored his bad decision-making, and younger Jasmine is taking advantage. 59-year-old pilot Mark Bissett met 34-year-old Mina Mack allegedly at a restaurant in Paris, although there are rumors suggesting that Mina was a stripper, and they met in the club she worked at. In any case, Mina already had a child from another partner, and she and Mark shared a 2-year-old, Maria, together. And Mina wanted more kids. Mark's grown daughter, Jordan, felt her dad was making a mistake with Mina, and that Mina was using him for his money and lifestyle. Mina, threatened by Jordan, called her a snake, and her attitude towards Jordan showed Mina's true colors. It's possible that Mina had an anchor baby with Mark to secure her future in America, otherwise it would make sense for an almost 60-year-old to be trapped with a baby. Mina showed herself to be very demanding and calculating, immature, traits that Mark likely wouldn't find in someone his own age. 90 Day Fiancé Season 11, which they appeared in, just ended, so more will be revealed during the tell-all. Mark Bissett and Mina Mack. Mark's family doesn't trust Mino Tigerlily Taylor and Adnan Abdelfattah. They married the same day they met. Tigerlily Taylor, 41, met Adnan Abdelfattah, 22, on social media, and the pair were only talking for 4 months before Tigerlily flew to Adnan's native Jordan to meet him. Throwing all caution to the wind, middle-aged double divorcee Tigerlily married Adnan the same day she arrived in Jordan. She didn't even know that he wanted 5 kids or that she would need to present herself a certain way to appease Adnan and his Muslim culture. Tigerlily made a fool out of herself as her obvious neglect of studying her husband's culture showed. Tigerlily felt controlled and resentful, while Adnan felt like he was in the right and the authority. Moreover, Adnan has become a 90-day fiancé villain for how he acted during the Before the 90 Days Season 7 tell-all, and Tigerlily defended her young husband's behavior. With Tigerlily and Adnan's age gap, it's hard to take them seriously because of how cringy they act. This is not what I wanted.
Hello and welcome back. If you're a fan of love, drama, cultural clashes, and the occasional tear-filled confessionals, you're in the right place. We are, of course, talking about the global phenomenon that is TLC's 90-Day Fiancé. And tonight, we are diving deep into one of the most jaw-dropping, conversation-starting, and frankly, shocking moments from the recent season. I'm talking about Shekhina Garner's surgery revelation that has left the entire 90-Day fandom absolutely reeling. Now, if you somehow missed it, let me set the scene. We've been following Shekhina and her partner, Sarper, for a while. Their relationship has been intense, to say the least. From the very beginning, their dynamic was built on a foundation of physical attraction. Sarper, with his chiseled features and self-proclaimed 3,000 women passed, and Shekhina, with her stunning, almost doll-like beauty. They seemed to be on the same page about aesthetics, about living a certain lifestyle. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared us for the sheer magnitude of the secret Shekhina revealed. It wasn't just a "I had a little work done" confession. This was a full-scale, surgical inventory that laid bare the immense physical transformation she had undergone. The internet exploded. The forums lit up like a Christmas tree. And everyone was left asking the same question: why? Why would she share this? What does this mean for her relationship with Sarper? And what does it say about the pressures of beauty in our modern world, amplified 1,000 times by the glare of reality TV? So, grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, because we are going to unpack this entire situation. We're going to look at the moment it happened, procedure by procedure, the reaction from Sarper, the fallout online, and the profound questions this raises about identity, self-worth, and the price of perfection. Let's start at the very beginning, with the couple themselves. To understand the shock of the revelation, you have to understand the context of Shekhina and Sarper's relationship. From their first appearance on our screens, their connection was portrayed as overwhelmingly physical. Their conversations often revolved around their appearances. Sarper frequently complimented Shekhina's looks, and Shekhina seemed to appreciate Sarper's own meticulously maintained physique. There was a sense that their bond was, in many ways, a transaction of aesthetics. They both valued beauty, his, hers, and the image they presented to the world as a couple. This isn't a judgment, merely an observation of the narrative we were shown. They lived a life of photo shoots, gym sessions, and a carefully curated social media presence. In this world, appearance is currency. It's your brand, your value, your entire identity. So, in a sense, we should have expected that their relationship would eventually confront the artifice behind that beauty. We just didn't know how stark that confrontation would be. The scene itself was a masterclass in reality television tension. It wasn't in a confessional, it wasn't during a dramatic fight. It was a seemingly calm, intimate moment. They were in what looked like a stylish, minimalist apartment, the lighting was soft, and the conversation was quiet. It felt vulnerable. Shekhina began by expressing her feelings for Sarper, talking about her fears and her hopes for their future. And then, she steered the conversation toward her past. She spoke about her insecurities, about a time when she didn't feel beautiful, when she didn't see the person in the mirror matching the person she felt she was inside. and then, she dropped the first bomb. She looked Sarper directly in the eyes and said she hadn't always looked this way. That the face he adored, the body he was so attracted to, was the result of extensive cosmetic surgery. You could see the gears turning in Sarper's head. He was listening, but there was a visible shift in his demeanor. The casual relaxation was gone, replaced by a focused, almost wary attention. Shekhina, to her credit, didn't shy away. She didn't speak in euphemisms. She was specific. Brutally, breathtakingly specific. This wasn't a list she rattled off proudly, it was delivered with a raw, emotional weight, as if she was unloading a burden she had been carrying for years. Let's break down exactly what she confessed to, because the sheer scope is what truly sent shockwaves through the fandom. First, she started from the top, literally. She revealed she had undergone a brow lift. This procedure, designed to elevate the eyebrows and smooth the forehead, gives the face a more alert and youthful appearance. For Shekinah, it contributed to that perpetually awake and sculpted look around her eyes, a feature many had admired. Then, she moved to her eyes. She confessed to a blepharoplasty, which is the medical term for an eyelid surgery. This can involve removing excess skin from the upper eyelids or reducing bags under the eyes. In her case, it perfected the almond shape of her eyes, making them appear larger and more defined, a key component of her strikingly symmetrical face. Next came the nose. She admitted to a rhinoplasty, a nose job. She spoke about her original nose and how she had always been self-conscious about its shape. The rhinoplasty refined its structure, creating the sleek, perfectly proportioned profile we see today. This is often one of the most transformative procedures, and for Shekinah, it was a central part of her new look. But she didn't stop there. She moved to her cheeks, revealing she had cheek implants placed. These implants create more prominent, defined cheekbones, giving the face more structure and a classic, high-fashion contour. It's a procedure that fundamentally alters the bone structure of the face, and it explained the perfect hollows beneath her cheekbones that many attributed to genetics or masterful contouring. Then, she talked about her jawline. She disclosed having jawline contouring, likely involving either fillers, implants, or even bone shaving to create that sharp, defined, and heart-shaped jaw. This eliminated any softness or roundness, resulting in the dramatic, sculpted V-shape that is so coveted. Of course, the lips were a part of the story. She openly stated she uses lip fillers to maintain the full, pouty look that has become her signature. This was perhaps the least surprising revelation in the era of Kylie Jenner, but in the context of the entire list, it added another layer to the constructed nature of her beauty. Now, we move below the neck, and this is where the revelation truly entered uncharted territory for a 90-day confession. Shekinah revealed she had a breast augmentation. She discussed her decision to get implants, citing a desire for a more curvaceous and proportional figure. This was a major procedure that significantly altered her silhouette. But it was the next set of revelations that truly left viewers gasping. She confessed to Lipo 360, an extensive liposuction procedure that removes fat from the entire midsection, the abdomen, waist, flanks, and back, to create a dramatically hourglass figure. This isn't a minor suction, it's a major body contouring surgery. And then, the piece de resistance, the surgery that arguably caused the most intense online reaction, the Brazilian butt lift, or BBL. Shekinah revealed that she underwent this highly popular and equally risky procedure, where fat is liposuctioned from other parts of the body and injected into the buttocks to enhance their size and shape. This procedure is responsible for the pronounced, curvaceous lower body that has become a modern beauty standard. It's a surgery with a significant recovery period and serious potential complications, which made her confession all the more stark. The list was staggering. It wasn't one or two tweaks, it was a head-to-toe architectural overhaul. She had, in essence, deconstructed and reconstructed her entire physical being. And she was laying it all out, piece by piece, for Sarper, and by extension, for the millions of people watching at home. The camera stayed tightly on Sarper's face during this recitation. His initial supportive nods had slowly frozen. His expression was unreadable, a mixture of shock, confusion, and perhaps a flicker of disappointment? He was processing. You could almost see the thoughts racing behind his eyes. The woman I'm attracted to, the body I desire, is it real? Is any of it her? When Shekhina finished, the silence was deafening. She looked at him, her eyes searching his for acceptance, for understanding, for anything other than rejection. And what did Sarper do? He didn't immediately sweep her into a hug and tell her it didn't matter. He didn't get angry. He was calculative. His first response was to question the number. He famously, or infamously, asked for a total. So, how many procedures? Give me a number. This moment was pivotal. It reduced her deeply emotional, vulnerable confession to a data point, a statistic. Shekhina, looking defeated, confirmed it was over 20 separate surgical procedures. Sarper's reaction was to lean back, to physically create distance. He expressed that he felt deceived, not because she had the surgeries, but because she hadn't told him sooner. He framed it as a matter of honesty within the relationship. He said something to the effect of, I fell in love with this image. I need to know if I'm falling in love with something real. And this, right here, is the core of the entire controversy. Sarper's reaction sparked a firestorm of its own. Was he justified in feeling blindsided? Or was he revealing his own shallow priorities? Let's play devil's advocate for a moment and look at it from Sarper's perspective. In his mind, their relationship was built on radical, almost brutal, honesty. He had been open about his past, about his lifestyle. He presented himself, for better or worse, exactly as he was. To discover that Shekhina's physical form, the very thing he was so vocally attracted to, was not a natural occurrence but a meticulously crafted artifact, could feel like a betrayal of that foundational honesty. He might have felt that the product he was sold was not as advertised. In the transactional language their relationship sometimes used, this was a breach of contract. But now, let's flip the script and look at it from Shekhina's perspective, and indeed, from the perspective of the vast majority of the audience who came to her defense. Her confession was an act of incredible courage. She was baring her soul, her insecurities, and her deepest vulnerabilities. She was sharing a history of profound physical and emotional pain, the pain of not feeling good enough, the pain of recovery, the pain of living with a secret. She was offering him the real her, the person behind the curated exterior, and his response was to critique the delivery method and question its authenticity. This ignited a crucial debate: what is real in a relationship? Is the body more real than the person inhabiting it? Is a surgically altered face less capable of expressing genuine emotion? Is a love that is contingent on the genetic lottery of one's bone structure a love that can withstand the inevitable changes of age, illness, or life? By focusing on the number of procedures, Sarper seemed to be saying that the artifice invalidated the authentic emotional connection they had built. And for many viewers, that was a horrifyingly shallow take. The online fallout was immediate and ferocious. Social media platforms became a battleground. Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit were flooded with reactions. On one side, there was a wave of immense support for Shekhina. Comment sections were filled with messages like, Shekhina is braver than any Marine for sharing that. Her value is not in her original parts. It's in her heart. Sarper's reaction shows he only loves her for her looks. She deserves so much better. This is her body, her choice. She doesn't owe anyone her medical history. Many people shared their own stories of cosmetic procedures, of insecurities, and of the freedom they found in taking control of their appearance. Shekhina became an unwitting symbol for the normalized, yet still stigmatized, world of cosmetic enhancement. On the other side, there was criticism. Some accused her of promoting unrealistic beauty standards. Others questioned the ethics of such extensive surgery. And a significant portion directed their anger at Sarper, with comments like, Sarper is a walking red flag. He's mad his trophy isn't vintage. He loves the art but doesn't respect the artist. His ego is bruised because he couldn't tell. This is about his own perceived expertise on women's bodies. If the surgeries made her more beautiful, why is he complaining? It reveals his hypocrisy. The memes, of course, were relentless. Photos of Sarper with captions like "calculator boyfriend" or "auditing my girlfriend's surgical history" went viral. It was a classic case of the internet seizing on a moment and amplifying it into a full-blown cultural discourse. But beyond the couple's drama and the online frenzy, Shekinah's revelation forces us to confront some much larger, more uncomfortable questions about our society. First, the normalization of cosmetic surgery. We are living in an era where procedures once whispered about are now discussed openly on social media. The Instagram face, a specific set of features including the lifted brows, cat-like eyes, small nose, full lips, and sharp jawline that Shekinah possesses, is a known phenomenon. It's a homogenized ideal of beauty, achievable through surgery and fillers. Shekinah's confession was simply the logical, if extreme, endpoint of this trend. She didn't just follow the trend, she perfected the blueprint. It makes us ask, in a world where this is possible, is natural beauty becoming a relic? Are we creating a new, unattainable standard where even beautiful isn't beautiful enough unless it's surgically engineered? Second, the illusion of choice and agency. We often frame cosmetic surgery as a simple matter of personal choice and empowerment. My body, my choice is a powerful and valid mantra. And for Shekinah, it undoubtedly was an act of taking control. She changed what she didn't like. But we have to ask, is that choice truly free, or is it made under the immense pressure of patriarchal, Lucist standards? Are women empowered by changing themselves to fit a mold, or are they ultimately capitulating to a system that devalues them if they don't? There are no easy answers here. It's a paradox. The same surgery can be an act of liberation for the individual and a reinforcement of a confining standard for the collective. Third, the nature of authenticity in the digital age. This is at the very heart of Sarper's reaction. We live our lives online through curated profiles, filters, and angles. Reality television itself is a constructed version of reality. Shekinah's body was her most personal filter. In confessing, she was removing that filter, offering an unedited, behind-the-scenes look. Sarper's struggle was a metaphor for our collective struggle. We crave authenticity, but we are also addicted to the flawless illusion. We want the perfect image, but we also want to believe it's real. Shekinah's revelation shattered that comfortable illusion, forcing everyone to reconcile the two. Fourth, the physical risk and psychological journey. In the glamour of the before and after photos, we often forget the sheer physical ordeal of such extensive surgery. 20+ procedures mean 20+ rounds of anesthesia, 20+ recovery periods, 20+ risks of infection, complications, and botched results. The Brazilian butt lift, in particular, has one of the highest mortality rates of any cosmetic procedure due to the risk of fat clots. Shekinah's journey was not just a spiritual or emotional one, it was a path paved with significant physical pain and risk. This confession reminded viewers that this pursuit of beauty is not a casual hobby, it's a serious, potentially life-threatening commitment. So, where does this leave Shekinah and Sarper? In the episodes that followed the revelation, we saw them struggle. There were tense conversations, tears, and a palpable sense of uncertainty. Sarper needed time to process, and Shekinah was left in a state of anxious limbo, wondering if her vulnerability had cost her the relationship. Ultimately, they did decide to stay together. Their reasoning, as presented, was that they loved each other beyond the physical. Sarper claimed he was able to look past the surgeries and see the woman he fell for. But the question lingers, was this a genuine breakthrough, or was it a television-friendly resolution? Has Sarper truly evolved, or has he simply accepted the crafted reality? Only time will tell. The legacy of Shekinah's surgery revelation is profound. It will go down in 90-Day Fiancé history as one of its most defining moments. It wasn't just about a couple's drama, it was a cultural moment that held up a mirror to our own obsessions, prejudices, and contradictions. It forced the audience to look beyond the surface of the show itself. 90-Day Fiancé is often dismissed as a guilty pleasure, a trashy reality show. But moments like this prove it can be a fascinating, if unintentional, documentary on modern life. It explores immigration, family, love, and now, in stunning detail, the very nature of beauty and identity in the 21st century. Shekinah's courage in sharing her story, regardless of her reasons, started a global conversation. It made women and men alike reflect on their own bodies, their own choices, and their own definitions of what is real. It challenged a partner's superficiality live on television. It showcased the immense power of vulnerability, even when that vulnerability is met with confusion and coldness. In the end, the shock wasn't really about the surgeries. The shock was about the unveiling. We, the audience, and Sarper, the partner, were forced to confront the wizard behind the curtain. And in doing so, we were all forced to ask ourselves, who are we really falling in love with? The image, or the person brave enough to tell us how that image was made? The conversation is far from over. But one thing is for certain, we will never look at a perfect face or body on our screens the same way again. And for that, we have Shekinah to thank. Thank you for joining me for this deep dive. This is a story with so many layers, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you make of Sarper's reaction? Was Shekinah's confession an act of bravery or a necessary disclosure? Let the conversation continue.